Right, here's question 5 in the assess. Now what have we got here? It says the diagram shows a square with an isosceles triangle. That's important. Yeah, x by x, isosceles. It's removed from the corner as is usual, and the area of the shaded part is 8.5 centimeters squared. Let's just write it in there so you get a visual picture of what's going on. So the difference between x and y is 2 centimeters. Now the bigger length is clearly the y, and the shorter length is clearly the x. So I'm going to say y minus x is 2. So the bigger length, take away the smaller length that's been snipped off, is 2. So I've got a bit of an equation there. Now what about this shaded area? What do I have? If I have y by y, I have an entire square without the bit chopped off. So basically I've got the area of the square, take away the area of the triangle, which is half base times height, and the base and the height are x and x, it's isosceles, so it'll be half times x squared. So basically the area of the square, take away the area of the triangle, comes to 8.5 centimeters squares. Alright, now if I double this up, I get rid of this horrible half, so why don't I do this? Therefore 2y squared minus double up half x squared, get a whole x squared to myself, and that comes to 17. Now look, how about I then do this to myself, y equals x plus 2. I could substitute the x plus 2 where the y is, and then form an equation just with x's. So what I'm planning to do is to take this and substitute it right in here, alright, because y equals x squared, x plus 2, and y equals x squared, I can make an equation. So let's just get the final equation I'll be working with. I have 2 lots of x plus 2 squared, then I'm going to take away x squared, and that should come to 17. Alright, so I'll just multiply this out now. I'm going to have 2 lots of x squared plus 4x plus 4, because you know x plus 2 multiplied by himself, x plus 2, again do that in your head, then take away x squared, then take away 17 comes to 0. Look, I'm trying to form a quadratic here. Multiply this out, 2x squared, 8x, 8, take away x squared, minus 17 equals 0. Now I have to work in yellow down here. 2x squared minus x squared, single x squared, 8x plus 8x. 8 take away 17, I think is minus 9, I hope. Yeah, minus, check again, yeah, minus 9. Oh, this factorizes, I hope. Makes life a lot easier if it does. Look at that. X times x makes x squared. How do you make 9? I don't know. 9 times 1, I suppose. Yeah, if I go for plus 9 and minus 1, I get minus 1x and plus 9x, which gives me plus 8x. Therefore, it readily factorizes. And of course, minus 1 times 9 is minus 9, which is brilliant. So I've got 2 solutions here. I've got x minus 1 equals 0, and I've got therefore x equals 1, and I've got x plus 9 equals 0. I hope you can see this is not going to work, because you can't have a negative length. So in the bracket, I'll write the word ignore. So I'm ignoring this. I'm telling the examiner I'm ignoring it. So I've got x equals 1. Let's just work out y. And so I'm coming down here now. So what have I got? I've got y equals x plus 2, because I've rearranged it. So y equals x plus, for goodness sake. So y equals x plus 2. So y is going to be 1 plus 2. So y is going to be 3. There you go. So y is 3 and x is 1. Beautiful, easy solution. Now let's do the carpets on the other side. See if this works out. This is quite tricky. Lots and lots to read. Let's hope this works out, eh? Go back to red. A couple are carpeting 2 rooms in their house. We've got the dining room and the living room. Tiles are sold in packs of 4, and they're coming 50 by 50 centimeter squares. Now, think of it carefully. I've got a 50 by 50, a 50 by 50, a 50 by 50, and a 50 by 50. I've got 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters. That means I've got a 1 by 1 meter. In other words, 1 meter squares equals 1 pack. Is that alright? So just before we go any further, let's just demystify this horrible pack of 4 business. Essentially, 1 pack gets me squares that form 1 meter square. Now, and they picked out two types of carpet that they like. One is X pounds per packet, in other words per metre square, and the other one's Y pounds per packet, in other words Y pounds per metre square. They decided to buy both carpets, using the more expensive one in one room and the cheap one in the other room. So far we don't know whether X is the cheaper one or Y is the cheap one. It doesn't matter. Whatever the two answers I'll get, one will be more expensive than the other. It doesn't matter whether it was X or was Y while I was forming and solving equations. They're not sure which room to put it in. So here we go. They're not sure which carpet to put in which room. Right. If they put the expensive carpet, now listen, I want to go for X is the expensive one. And I want to go for Y equals the cheap one. And these are carpets. If they put the expensive one in the dining room and the cheap one in the living room, it will cost 425 quid. If they do it the other way around, in other words, the expensive one in the living room and the cheap one in the dining room, then it would only cost them more, £475. What is the cost per pack of each of the carpets? In other words, what's the cost per metre? Now, I've got to know the area of each of the rooms, so let's just do it quickly then. If I work in black, well, 2 times 2.5, I've got area equals 2 times 2.5, and 2 2.5s is going to be 5 metres squared. So straight away I need 5 packs to cover that one. Now this one, just dot it across there. If that's 2 and that's 4, well, that's got to be 2 as well. So here I've got 2 by 3, which is 6 metres squares. And here I've got, if that's 2 and that's all 3 and that's 1, then this little part must be 2 as well. Is that alright? So it's a 2 by 2, 2 plus 1 makes 3, it works. So that's going to be 2 by 2, which is 4 metres squares. So the total for that is going to be 10 metres squares. So I'm playing with a 10 and I'm playing with a 5 in the dining room. Now let's set up some equations to see what we can do. If they put the expensive one in the dining room, expensive I've called X for now, so here I go. Maybe I can stick them up here. So I've got 5 metres squares worth of cheap one, right, so how much I need, plus 10 metres squares of the, 5 metres squares of the expensive one and 10 metres squares of the cheaper one. It's going to cost them £425. If they do it the other way round, in other words, 5 of the cheaper plus 10 of the expensive, naturally it's going to work out more expensive because I've got 10 lots of the more expensive one, and that will come to £475. Now here is a lovely pair of simultaneous equations. I don't want to do it as a graph, that would be awful. Now let's just write these round the right way together. If I go 10y and 5x, I will get 425. If I go 5y, leave this one unflipped, and 10x will come to 475. I can't subtract anything yet. I need to double up maybe the top one to get 10x's, or double up the bottom one to get 10y's. Makes no difference. Either way, I've got to change something. So if I double up the top one, I go 20y's, 10x's, £850. Is that alright? Just doubling up that one. So times that one by 2, and you stay by yourself. Write the other underneath. 5y plus 10x's comes to £475. Now if I now go and subtract 10x, and 10x has gone, so I'm left with 15 lots of the expensive one, the cheap one, comes to, quickly grab a calculator, 850, take away the 475, that comes to £375. 375, not 300, anyway, 375 squids. So the cost of the cheap one's going to be 375 over 15, and that will come to something. That's going to cost £25 per metre, alright? So that's £25 for the cheaper one. Now let's do the more expensive one. We'll shove the y probably in this equation here, and so just to show what I'm doing, you get inside there, and I'm going to have to work over here now. I'm running out of space. So 5 times the more expensive one plus 10 lots of £25 for the cheap one, comes to £425. So 5 lots of expensive plus 250 comes to 425. Subtract the 250. Let's just write it down because it's a standalone question. So 5 lots of expensive equals 425 rather. 425. Take away the 250. That gives me £175, and therefore the more expensive one is going to be 175 divided by 5, which is going to be something in pounds. Divide that by 5. Bam, £35. Yep. Well, that works really well. So one of them costs £35 per square metre, and the cheap one costs £25 per square metre, and that is a really lovely question. Hopefully, you know, here's me writing in the corner here where my screen is, and hopefully all this is visible to you. If I put my pen here for a little while, hopefully the camera will pick it up. So y comes to £25, x comes to £35. It didn't matter whether y was 35 or x was 35, because we're told one pack is x and the other pack is y, and they've not designated which is the most expensive one. So, you know, had I done it a different way, I would have got y to be the more expensive one, and vice versa. All right, that's that, and that's a really lovely question. That was nice. I enjoyed it. So I'll catch you later when we do some of the AQA questions in the assess on page 206.